God, Father Waymaker? Well, first and foremost, by the grace of the Most High, and from your mouth to God's ears. But as far as I'm concerned, but my circumstances were, unfortunately, I don't have that story of being a child from the projects that didn't have nothing and was suffering. You know, my parents did an amazing job. My parents worked hard, and I had working for these white institutions. My father used to work for this department store at the time. It was called Mays. And like they had these department stores like Abraham and Strauss around at that time. And my father used to work as a licensed electrical contractor for these institutions. And it didn't matter how great he was at his job, it was never enough. So I think the first example of greatness that I identified was within the house, because my father ultimately made a decision to no longer subject himself to that. And he was the first one that I saw that had one job with Mays, got tired of dealing with the shit that he was subjected to working at Mays, and then he quit. And then he started his own company as a licensed electrical contractor called TGS Electric. And those was the initials of his name, Trevor George Smith Electric. And I don't know if y'all are familiar, but traditionally Caribbean people, they base stability on being people that learns a skill set and they learn a trade. You know, be an electrician, be a plumber, you know, be a carpenter. So my father was on that, and he was a real man's man. Like, he really wasn't into any feminine tendencies in the house. That's just the way he was raised as a man. You know, the women would master that, and then the man had to master being a man. And the way my father led by example, I identified with his determination and his passion to be great. And I definitely didn't want to be the weak link in my house. So becoming great was no longer an option or a negotiable stipulation for me. The thing for me, hip hop overall for me, when I was first introduced to it, it was just like, I saw myself in it. Even though I didn't know how to participate in any of it, because I wasn't rhyming at the time, I wasn't breakdancing, I wasn't DJing, and I wasn't doing graffiti. But I loved it so much, just as a fan. There was nothing more important to me than doing what I loved as a child. You know, whatever you do as a child, you wanted to play around because you love playing around. You know, you pursued your first girlfriend because you liked her a lot. You know, I liked hip hop so much that I instantaneously grew in love with it. But the thing that drove me to making the choice was that my father, he was so strong-willed about making sure that he didn't play with the life of his children, that he didn't entertain what I liked or what I loved. And it kind of created a friction between me and him, because I felt like he wasn't being as willing to support my dream or my passion or what I loved. He wasn't even willing to entertain what I was entertaining as an idea outside of what he felt worked for him, which was becoming an apprentice electrician like him. So I believe it was a situation that transpired for me where, again, I didn't need nothing. My parents took amazing kid. But I was born and raised in East Flatbush, Brooklyn. And in East Flatbush, Brooklyn at the time, in the mid-'80s, I would say around 83, I was 12. And a lot of my superheroes at the time was drug dealers. And in East Flatbush, Brooklyn, you know, they look like superheroes for real. Big chains, the Benzes, the 190Es, the Cressida, the Maximas, you know, all of them cars. And another thing that was extremely present in my neighborhood was the 5% nation of the gods and earths, the Zulu Nation. And what I loved about this time frame was because it was super cool to be smart. We're here for all of
Thank you for the talk, sir.
Thank you.